Hood Horrors with Tony Mercury. Did you know that over 60% of the United States currently lives in a suburb? Americans flock to these maze-like neighborhoods because they often have better quality of life, better schools, and a low crime rate. But did you know that suburbia was actually started because of racism? This is the story of Levittown. In 1947, Abraham Levitt and his two sons, William and Alfred, decided to create a new housing structure, a grid-like layout of identical constructed houses for similar prices in Nassau County, Long Island. The one rule, no blacks allowed. Abraham Levitt, like all the tenants who moved into the new neighborhood, was mostly racist and feared living among black Americans, who he deemed inferior. Entitled white Americans would leave their generational homes and neighborhoods in hopes of being completely segregated from black and brown communities.
Why did you select Levittown to live?
We were looking for a place to buy a home. We looked at Levittown, and we liked the homes here. We liked the advantages that Levittown seemed to offer in comparison to other cities. And we understood that it was going to be all white, and we were very happy to buy a home here.
This phenomenon was called the white flight. Only minutes away in towns like Freeport, Valley Stream, and Hempstead, black New Yorkers were barely making ends meet, while Levittown was building its own segregated grocery stores, doctor offices, and shopping centers. And they had a good 20 years of pure whiteness until the civil rights movement in the 60s ended segregation and started influencing schools, offices, and housing communities, meaning that Levittown would see their first black residents, and they were not happy.
In the paper where they have two colored school teachers now in Levittown. So that's just a good example of what is going to happen.
Well, what's wrong with that?
I do not like I have two daughters and two sons. And if there's too many colored people around here, I definitely will get out.
Black people would endure horrible horrors, like being chased, harassed, spit on, sometimes hung, all for trying to live the American dream. This led to an uptick of black New Yorkers moving into project buildings. To this day, Levittown is still struggling to make amends for their racism, and only 5% of residents are of color. And there are still issues with neighborhood harassment, discrimination in school, work, and harassment by the police. What if I told you this was just the beginning? Next time we'll talk about the haunted projects in New York and the ghosts that racism left behind.